Hello and welcome to Tuck Shop Tales. We're just going to take a few minutes to let people arrive. So if you're here, please let me know you're here. So you can comment, you can say hello, you can give us a like, you can give us a love, you can share this with a group that you're part of if you know anybody you think would enjoy some stories. So bring some more people in, get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself a drink of juice, get yourself a Mars bar or whatever it is you like. And we're just going to wait a few minutes till a few more people have arrived, and then we're going to begin our stories. But don't leave me here talking on my own, because I feel a bit strange. I want to know you're there. So please add a little comment and say where you're from, and say what your name is. You could be watching from anywhere in the world. You could be canoeing down the Amazon while you do this. Oh, we've got Joan, Ma. Hello, whereabouts are you? You could be anywhere. That's what's so strange about telling stories online, but what's so wonderful, because you really could be, you could be running through the desert in Australia, you could be riding a kangaroo, you could be undersea, you could be scuba diving and using some kind of waterproof phone with really good reception. I don't know. Oh, we've got a few people there already, brilliant. Okay, I'll just give it a little minute more until we get on with the stories. I'll tell you a little bit about myself in the meantime. Hey Tim, we've got Tim. Tim is on the couch in Chester. I bet it's a very nice couch. Nice to see you here, Tim. Thanks for joining. So I am Daniel Allison. I am a Scottish storyteller. I'm currently living in East Linton, which is a lovely little village in East Lothian, east of Edinburgh. And I like it here. I go down to the river every morning and I usually see ducks and little birds and a heron sometimes. Saw a few hares this morning. Saw a cormorant that had come inland and was sleeping on a branch over the river. That was a bit strange. Who else we got? We got someone in France. Brilliant. And we got Kat. Kat is in Germany. Hey Kat. Alright, we're starting to arrive. We've got a good little crowd here together. Fantastic. Well, as a storyteller, I tell stories from all over the world. I'm pretty international and eclectic in my tastes. But today I'm going to be telling you stories from Scotland and Ireland. I'm very happy about that. Very excited about that. We've got Kat. Kat says, hi! We are making a snack to have while we listen. Fantastic. And Kat is in Edinburgh. I bet you're having a very nice snack. And we've got Erden in Edinburgh. We've got someone from South Australia. Fantastic. Wonder what time of day it is there. We've got Sharon, who is sitting in sunny Birmingham. Okay, we've got quite a party going. Fantastic. So I've got 2-3 stories to share with you today. You can never tell quite how long they're going to take, so we'll maybe have 2, we'll maybe have 3. And I've got a few instruments to play, so you'll hear some sound effects as we go along. I'll show you what I've got. Got this here, it's my lovely singing bowl. And we've got this here. Koshi chime. And a couple of other bits and bobs, which you will see. You will see. Alright, we got anyone else joining? Yeah. No more comments just now. Okay, well, as we're going along, feel free to join in with a comment or two, or a like, or just share the video out with your groups, with your family, with your friends, or just call them in from the other rooms in the house. And I think it's about time that we get on with the story. Rosie, good to see you. All right, so we're gonna have our first story, and to get us in the mood, because it's a old story. It takes us back to the ancient earth. So we're going to have some ancient music. And we're going to have some didgeridoo. darkness, silence, a time before time. This was a time when there was nothing happening in the world. Certainly nothing happening in Scotland, because Scotland wasn't quite Scotland yet. It was just this bare, dark mass of earth, flat, just rocks, little stones. There was nothing there. There was no one there. There was nothing at all. And this was how it was for a very, very long time, until the kayak came. Who's the kayak, you ask? The kayak is an old woman, the old woman of winter, a giant blue-skinned old woman. And she came from the north. She came from further north than north, riding a throne of storms. And her breath was so cold that when she breathed out into the night sky, her breath shattered the stars. Now the kayak, she was riding her throne of storms, and she looked down and she saw this mass of land surrounded by stormy sea. And she thought, I could live there. I could live there. So, boom, down she came, shaking the land, shaking the whole world. She looked around at that dark, flat mass of land that would be Scotland, and she thought, well, it's a good fixer-upper. It's a good start, but I could do a few things with the place. I don't know if you're someone who likes doing up houses, maybe you can relate. So she got to work, and I want you to help her at home. I can't say if you're doing it, but I'll just trust that you're doing it. I want you to help her make the mountains. You see, she liked mountains, so she began making mountains, as you do. She dug her hands into the earth, and she began to shape mountains. She built them high, and then she molded them with her bare hands, because she was a very strong old woman. Old women are generally very strong, but she was particularly strong, even for an old woman. So she made this mountain, and that mountain, and that mountain, and that mountain. She made Ben Louis, she made Ben Cruachan, she made every mountain that you've climbed. If you live in Scotland, or if you've ever climbed a mountain in Scotland, and if you never have, I hope you do sometime. She made them all. She made the Cairngorms, she made the Trossachs, she made the gentle rolling hills of the borders. She made the lot. And finally, well, how do you think she was feeling after that? You're right. She was feeling tired. And she thought, I need a wee rest. So she decided she wanted to sleep up somewhere high, nice and cold, because, you know, she was a being of winter. She liked it cold. She decided to build a mountain, bigger than all the others. So with the last of her strength, just one last job, she built a huge big mountain, built it with her. And this was, of course, what was it? Yes, I can hear you. It was Ben Nevis. She climbed up atop it, and she lay down across it to sleep. She woke up at some point. She decided to get some things done. She was thirsty, so she went and found a mountain. She thought, is there water in there? Banged it. She heard water sloshing about. So she made a hole in it with her hands, kind of making like a cork or a plug. Put it down and drank the water from it, put the cork back. And then she began to do this every night. She'd go and drink from that mountain. And that mountain is Ben Cruachan. And it's a hydroelectric dam today, which just goes to show you. But one night, she forgot to put the plug back. And so the water poured out of the mountain all night long. In the morning, she woke up and all the glens, all the valleys were filled with rivers, filled with lochs, with lakes. And that's how Scotland's lakes and rivers, lochs were made. One time, It got so cold, because you know it does get pretty cold here in Scotland. It got cold even for her. She decided she needed a fire. So she started gathering up peat bricks, because you know in some parts of the world, in north of Scotland and other places, they take lumps of earth and make them into bricks for the fire. She was doing that. She was gathering peat bricks when she tripped, and she scattered all her peat bricks across the sea. And that is how the islands of the Hebrides were made. That's why we have Skye and Barra and Lewis and Harris and Iona and all the others. Well, the kayak, she would go about, do this and that. She would go to sleep at night. But then, one night, as she dreamed, her dreams changed. Usually she dreamed of howling wolves. She dreamed of snow and ice and storms. But on this night, she had a different dream. She dreamed of a being absolutely unlike her. It was a young maiden with golden hair, dress of many colours, and she was dancing and singing and laughing. And as this maiden danced and sung and laughed, flowers bloomed about her feet, and birds flew around her. It was summer where she was. The sun shone down brighter and brighter, and the kayak awoke from this dream and argh! She looked about her and she saw, to her horror, that flowers had burst through the ice and the sun was shining. No! She took her wand of holly and she smote the earth with it, covering the land in ice again. But still, when she fell asleep, she dreamed of Bride, the maiden of summer. She woke up next, and she found that the skin of her face had smoothed out. She looked at her hair, and her hair was turning gold. Ah! She spoke spells, summoning storms from the far north that ground mountains into dust. But still, every night she dreamed of the beautiful maiden, the maiden that was Bride, maiden of summer. And this went on until one morning the kayak awoke. But she wasn't a kayak anymore. She was Bride. Bride saw that she was there. She was alive and she had a body, and she went racing, dancing, singing, laughing down the mountain, and she danced all across the land, from south to north, from east to west, and everywhere she went, life burst into being all around her. Foxgloves, daffodils, snowdrops, all the flowers, and birds flew down around her. Roaring stags raised their antlers to the sun. Bears fished for salmon by the silvery rivers. The birds reflected Bride in the shimmer of their wings. Life rejoiced in all its beauty until, eventually, Bride began to tire, and her song began to turn a little bit sad, and leaves began to turn. Gold glimmered in the forests. She slept longer, and then one night, Bride fell asleep. And the next morning, the first morning of winter, the kayak awoke. She wore her white shroud of winter, but summer slept in her heart. And that is the story, or one of the stories, of the kayak and Bride. Hope you enjoyed it. It was very good fun to tell it. I'm going to have a look at the comments now and see who we got here. Hey, we got Kamini. Hey, Kamini. We have got Linda, who loves the didgeridoo. Me too. I love it too. Got Claire and Fergus. We've got Glamory. Hey, Beverly. Hey, look at all these lovely people. We've got Flora. Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Well, we will carry on. We will carry on, I think. Now we're going to have another very favorite story. Wonderful, wonderful story, which you might know in some form. We are going to have a story of Oisin and Niamh. In a green glen, one summer in Scotland, long ago and in the last light of day, the men of the Fianna were gathered around their evening fires. The Fianna were a band of warriors whose job it was to keep Ireland and Scotland safe from invaders. And when they didn't have to do that, when Ireland and Scotland were safe, they spent their time hunting and fighting and hunting and fighting and hunting and fighting and fighting and hunting. And on this particular evening, they'd been out hunting all day, they'd had a good hunt, and now they were cooking over their fires. Delicious meat smells filled the air, and the dogs were sat there by their side because they loved their dogs, they loved their hounds, and everything was just right. Everything was just right. Not one of them would have asked for anything more than this. And one of them, who's named Oisin, he was sat there fletching an arrow, and he was concentrating on his job. He was getting an arrow ready for his bow. He wasn't talking to his friends. Because of this, because he was so concentrated, you know how it is when you're concentrating and you forget everything else around you? He didn't notice for a while that everyone around him had fallen silent. Eventually, he noticed everyone around him had fallen silent, and he looked to see, what? Into the clearing, into the forest clearing, there had come riding a maiden on a white horse. She wore a circlet of gold, a gown of silver and starlight, and she was looking at Oisin. And Oisin just stared at her. And she said, Oisin, my name is Niamh, and I've come here over the sea from Tir na Nog, the land of the forever young. There, nobody grows old. There, nobody fights or quarrels. There, we ride all day on fairy horses faster than the wind. We feast every night in golden palaces. There, life is perfect. Well, almost perfect. You see, there, we have poetry evenings. And you see Oisin was a poet. He was the poet of the Fianna. They say he was the finest poet in all the world. And Niamh, she said, Oisin, we speak your poetry there. Really, mine? She said, yes. And through your poetry, through your beautiful words, I have come to love you. And so I'm asking you now to get up on the back of my horse and come with me over the sea, further west and west to Tir na Nog, and there live with me as my husband in peace and perfection, beauty and splendor forever. What do you say? Well, would you go? Would you go? Tell me in the comments, would you go? Let's see, is anyone answering? Not yet. I'm imagining that some of you would, some of you are maybe not sure. And Oisin, what do you think he wanted to go? He did, but he wasn't sure. You see, he was a man of the Fianna, and no men were ever better friends than they were, so it wasn't easy. But then he looked into the eyes of his father, Finn McCool, who was sat there looking at him, and he saw his answer. For he was a poet, he was a warrior, and he could not say no to the call of the heart, the call of adventure. So he said goodbye to all of his friends, and he got up on the back of the horse, and off they went, and they rode. They rode across the land until they came to the sea, and they rode over the sea, for this horse could ride over the water. Laura's saying she wouldn't leave her dog. Fair enough. Good ownership. They rode over the water, and storms closed in around them, and Oisin looked this way and that, and he saw faces appearing in the storm, and Niamh said, eyes forward. So he looked forward, and then the storm clouds parted, and Oisin looked upon the white shores of Tir na Nog. They rode up the sand, through the forest, and everything was just as Niamh had said. They were going to live in a palace. Oisin was brought into her palace, and there were servants there to look after them. These incredible horses like he'd never seen before, there for him to ride. And the food was better than any he'd ever tasted. And everyone gathered round to listen to his poetry after dinner. And they were all, oh, Oisin, you're so wonderful, your poetry is just amazing. And he'd say, well, yes, I suppose it is. He had a great time. He had a great time. They caught something on every hunt. His poetry always went down a treat. Him and Niamh never argued. It was perfect. He lived there in perfection, peace, beauty, splendor, for a time outside time, until he began to feel a bit bored. You see, it was always perfect, and well, I don't know about you, do you think perfection could get boring? Oisin found that it could. He never had a fight with Niamh, and he began to think that he wanted a bit of a fight sometimes. It could be a bit of fun to have an argument and then make up, you know. And he wanted the hunt to go badly sometimes, so then it'd be better the next time. And he wanted to just be grumpy. No one was ever grumpy in Tir na Nog, and you know, he was from Scotland and he liked to be grumpy. That's how we are. And he began to think, you know what I really want, more than any of this, what I really want, I want to go and see the Fianna. I want to go and see my brothers, have a wee holiday. So he went and he spoke to Niamh and said, I'm thinking of popping back over the sea, have a wee holiday, you know. And she said, no. And he said, what do you mean? No? And she said, no. Why not? And she said, just trust me. It's not a good idea. What do you mean it's not a good idea? Just, do you trust me? Yeah, but just then, accept. It's not a good idea. Just stay here. Okay. But you know, it wasn't the same after that. Just wasn't the same. He just wasn't enjoying any of it after that. And he began to feel annoyed at everyone and everything. You know, he was certainly grumpy, even if no one else was. And that yearning to see his friends, see his dad didn't go away, and it got stronger and stronger actually, until finally he went to Niamh and said, I'm sorry, I just have to go. And she said, fine then. Well, and can I ask you, do you think he should go? You with Oisin or Niamh here? She said, you can go. I'll give you my horse. Just go back the way you came, it will take you. But just promise me one thing. Do not step down from your horse. For if your foot so much as touches the ground, you will never come back here, and I will never see you again. Right, fine, I'll stay on my horse if I need to. And I was happier after that because he was going home, and soon he had the horse ready and he was getting up on its back, and he said, goodbye, my love. She was crying. It was as if she'd never see him again. Look, I'll be back soon, a week, 2 weeks tops. Off he went. and he rowed. He rowed down to the shore, and he rowed over the sea. He rowed east. He rowed further east and east. He rowed and rowed and rowed for days and nights until, come evening, he looked upon the golden shores of Luscantire Bay, and he saw the hills there, the white sands, and the beauty of it, the beauty of the place that, yes, maybe it wasn't quite up to Tirnanog standards, but it was home. It made his heart burst with joy, and he laughed, and he drove the horse on faster, and up the shore he went, and he rode along, and hold on, what's going on here? What's going on here? Things had changed. He wasn't sure how long he'd been gone, 6 months, year, something, but things had changed. The road beneath him rather than earth, it was this hard stuff clacked against his horse's hooves, and there were candles on towers, and then whoosh, this iron horse went past. Things have changed. And on he went, and he came to houses, and these houses were different to any he'd ever seen. More iron horses. This is very strange. This is very strange. And he thought, I need to see Finn. I need to see my dad and find out what's going on. So he came to a busier place where there was lots of these funny houses, and they're all very drab and dull looking, he thought. And he saw people there, and they were walking down the road. And he tried to talk to them, and you'd think they would have sort of paid attention to him because he was on this huge white horse, and he was wearing his golden armour, and he was a big man, golden-haired, beautiful man, because people were just a bit bigger and a bit better looking in them days. But they didn't pay attention to him. He saw that they were all holding these lumps of metal and just staring at them as they walked along. And he thought, they must have been put under some kind of enchantment. Some wizard must have given them these to kind of put a spell on them, I don't know. So he couldn't get anyone's attention, and when people did look up, they just kept on going. So he said, hey, you there? Are you there? Wait, excuse me. And then finally, along came someone who wasn't holding a lump of metal. He was strolling along with his hands in his pockets. He said, hello? And Ashin said, hello, hello, hello. Can you help me? Aye, maybe. And he said, I'm looking for Finn McCool. Finn McCool? I said, yes, Finn McCool. I mean, surely you've heard of him. Aye, maybe. Aye, I've heard of him. Aye, we talked about him at school. We did a project, aye. He's the guy they said made the Giant's Causeway. I said, yes, that's him. He made the Giant's Causeway. That's my dad. Where can I find him? Where is he? Is he around here? Or... You're joking, aren't you? He doesn't exist. Oh, he doesn't exist. Even if he ever did exist, the stories told about him, they were just exaggerations of a pre-scientific people who were trying to explain natural phenomena they didn't have an explanation for. And he never built the Giant's Causeway. I did a project on it at school. It was formed by molten rock, coming out through these fissures in the ground and forming a lava plateau. That wasn't Finn McCool. Ashin didn't like the sound of all this nonsense. I thought, I need to get out of here. These people are mad. So he just went away, rode his horse down another road, and he was thinking, I think I'm just going to get back to Tirnanog because something's wrong here. I'll have a word with Neve. She seemed to know that something was going on. And that was the plan. But then he saw some guys on the road. They'd stopped their big orange iron horse, and they were trying to move this boulder. And it didn't seem that they could manage it. They had all these funny tools, and they didn't seem to be able to do it. And they were sort of stood around staring at it and burning these little flaming sticks. And he thought, oh, I better help these guys. So he said, excuse me, do you need a hand moving that rock? You see, Ashin was pretty strong. He was a man of the Fianna. Aye, you can help if you can. I'll do that then. So down he got, and he touched the ground. Soon as his foot touched the ground,
he became a withered, shriveled little old man. His golden hair turned white. His eyes became weak and he couldn't quite see clearly. Oh, what's going on? And the men, oh dear, come and sit down, Grandad. Come and sit down. Well, they looked after him, and when he told them all of this stuff about this fairy island and his magic horse and his bride and these warriors, they thought he was a bit mad, but they found him a place to stay, and they took him back to this wee house and sat him down there in his chair and started to come and listen to him every night after work. Because though he was a strange old fella, he had a lot of stories to tell, and though he seemed to believe them, which was a bit strange, they found that they quite liked the stories. They quite liked the stories. And that's how we have this story. So that is the end of my second and final story for this session. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. What we got here? It's gone a bit quiet. I suppose everyone's listening to the story. That's good. Don't you sit and chat away when I'm telling the story. Yeah. Okay. So if you enjoyed that, there's lots of other things going on online via the Scottish Storytelling Centre. So if you haven't subscribed, if you haven't liked their page yet, make sure to do that. You can also sign up for the mailing list, and then you'll get updates every week on what's happening. And there's workshops, there's live events for kids, there's live events for adults. And when we get out of lockdown, whenever that is, of course, there'll be stuff in person. So do get on to the Scottish Storytelling Centre's page. Oh, we've got a nice one comment from Nita. Oh, thanks very much, Nita. She says I'm a good storyteller. We've got Katrina. Thank you. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Fergus. Thank you, Flora. Thank you all very much. Let me just do a quick bit of self-promo before we finish and tell you, I'm sure you got this organised, that if you enjoyed that, I've got a couple of books. This one is Scottish Myths and Legends. The kayak story is in that. More aimed at adults, but there's some that are more child-friendly. And we've got Bonefoot, which is a novel set in ancient Orkney, and that's for children and for adults. If you want to find out more, you can go to my website, which is houseoflegends.me. That's houseoflegends.me. All right, so I think we will finish up there. Thanks very much, Loretta. Loretta liked my old man face. Yeah, I used it on one of those apps where you can find out how you look like when you're old. It was kind of scary, but kind of nice. And thank you, Panagiotis. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Thank you very much. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone. All right, we'll finish up there. Enjoy your whatever you do next. Bye-bye.